What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia has went public and basically waged war on whoever would wage war back on him. He wants to fight the rematch. He wants a rematch between Porter or Thurman, possibly a Pacquiao fight, or even Mikey Garcia. Now, one thing I didn't hear him say is Spence. He did mention Spence in the future, but that's after he was directly asked that question. What I've learned in interviewing and with fighters will give you a list of who they want. Fighters will give you a grand idea, a general idea of who they would like to fight. In this list, it was Porter, then Thurman, then Pacquiao, then perhaps Mikey Garcia. Now, all these fights are good because, Danny said that, all these fights make sense to me. And it does. I mean, he's been beaten, he's been beaten by decision by Porter and Thurman. That's his only two reported losses. Okay. Well, you still got Crawford. No one mentions him. He didn't mention Spence. Now he did mention Garcia. And from a business standpoint, I could see why he did that. And honestly, all out honesty, Mikey Garcia should have took on Danny Garcia. That would have made more sense because at least you would have knew, okay, I'm going to fight someone that isn't as dangerous. Someone to get my feet wet in the division. You know what I mean? It was a ballsy move at the end of the day. We can talk about that until we turn blue. However, a Danny Garcia versus Mikey Garcia fight would be a very high-selling fight. It could possibly be pay-per-view, even though I wouldn't want it to just be on pay-per-view, but you got the Puerto Rican versus Mexican rivalry, and you have these guys, they have the rival countries there, they have some of the best rivals, and I could see that selling. Shawn Porter and Keith Thurman, those are just rematches. That really doesn't interest me unless Spence gets involved, but these are all title holders. And Danny Garcia is still right there. He hasn't failed from grace. He's not a gatekeeper or nothing like that. He's not that bad. He's not that bad off, but he definitely does need to win his next fight. He can't afford any more losses like that. His dad, after the second loss to Porter, is talking about leaving the sport. And he was the biggest shit talker that we had in the sports today past Don King and Muhammad Ali. The dude could talk much shit. You know what I mean? But then, it's funny. The guys with the biggest mouth want to quit the first, the quickest. But, no, I like all those fights for Danny Garcia, especially the Mikey Garcia fight. Since Mikey, because we don't know if Mikey would want to acclimate back down to 135. So he might want to stay at 147 if he is still interested in fighting at that weight class. However, I don't think that his skills or whatever moved up like they claim, but that still would be a good fight. That would be a good fight because the styles that Danny has versus the style that Mikey has. I could see that being a classic war. Because, Danny likes to wing those shots, but he's good at aiming those shots. And Mikey's good at his precise jabbing and, punching through his target, and his footwork. That would be a very, very good fight. And I would love to see that. But, you don't hear a lot about Danny Garcia a lot of the times. I follow him on Facebook and stuff. And he did some freestyles, and his Scarface impersonation was pretty good. You know what I mean? But as far as him, talking about opponents, this was refreshing because we haven't heard from him in a long time. So, and he just didn't get beat up in those fights. Okay, mind you, Danny Garcia, he still has punching power. It just shows that the guys that he was fighting were either at that level or a little better than him. And I'm referring to Keith Thurman and Shawn Porter. So, I would look forward to him getting back into the ring. I'm just ready for any of these PBC fighters, though, any of these guys, to call out Terrence Crawford, to give Terrence Crawford that shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, to stop hiding behind promotional companies and make fights happen. That's the only thing that disappoints me. Well, one of the things that disappoints me about the PBC fighters, and Danny Garcia is an Al Heyman PBC fighter. You know, but it is good to hear from him. You guys tell me who you think he should fight. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunched. Peace.